Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. I've gotten a ton of questions from you guys out there who watched my video from a few days ago where I was fishing with this new Berkley bait. This is the new Berkley Power Bait Max Scent Flux-Gill. It's a really unique design, a whole different appearance, and it's something that I got a lot of questions on regarding how do you fish the thing. You know, in the video that I released the other day, I was fishing it on a heavy Texas rig, but that's not the only way I've used it and had a lot of success. This is a bait that I've really been able to test extensively. I've had them since, I don't know exactly when, I'm going to say probably July-ish. So I really got to play around with it quite a bit. And I'm excited for this bait. I'm excited to see what you guys out there have to say about it, because in my opinion, it really exceeded all expectations. When I first got it, I looked at it, I was like, okay, this is just another kind of one of those oddball shapes. Not really sure exactly what to do with it. My first thought was to fish it on the Texas rig, but there were just a lot of questions I had. Well, the first couple things I just want to point out, let's just talk about the bait a little bit. So the profile is a good bluegill or shad style profile, which we don't have a ton of on the market, but it's a wider bait. It's real narrow, so it gives you a different look in the water. It does really match bluegill really well. You saw that in the video the other day. I was fishing the 3.5-inch version, and it was matching the bluegills that were hanging out in the area really well. So that's one thing. Obviously, you probably see the honeycomb design to it with all those holes. Well, the key with that is you create a lot more surface area of the bait, which means you have a lot more of the max scent dispersion going on. And in my opinion, the max scent material and dispersion is something that is critical, and I feel like the fish really key in on that max scent. So in my opinion, that is a huge player. And when you increase the surface area with all those honeycombs, you just are really dispersing a ton of it into the water column, which I think is just going to give you a better chance at getting those fish to bite your bait and then hold on to it. The other thing I want to point out here is they did a nice job of incorporating a solid core down the center. So that solid core, if you can see that, allows you to rig this bait in a lot of different manners. It really does give you the opportunity to fish it in a whole bunch of different styles. And that was a key thing to this bait. The last thing I want to point out here is you look at it and you say there's probably no movement here. Well, the material itself is so soft and limber that you get a ton of movement. But what I was really surprised to see the first time I used it is when you move the bait with some speed, not necessarily ripping it hard, but just move the bait, nice sweep of the rod, you get a really tight vibration out of that bait, out of the tail. It's a really tight movement. And I actually prefer those really tight vibrations, those tight movements, a lot more than your really drawn out wags, I guess is what I would say. I feel like those tight vibrations are much more natural. And in this case, I was surprised to see that. I was actually not expecting it, but it does have a really nice actual vibration. It gives off kind of a leech type feel, to be honest with you, but something that I was not expecting. So let's talk a little bit about the different techniques that I wanted to fish. Now, I will say it does come in two sizes, right? You've got the 3.5-inch and the 5.3-inch. Both of them overall really good sizes. If Berkley designers are listening, I'd actually like to see a 2.5-incher. And I think there's a couple applications where that would be great. But for now, the 3.5 and the 5.3 really good. So in the video, you watched me fish it on a Texas rig. So this is just a straight EWG style Texas rig hook. I'm a bigger fan of the EWG styles versus your straight shanks, but you could fish it on a straight shank as well. In the video, I was fishing on a 3/4 ounce, so I was punching some matted vegetation on the surface, getting through it just fine. The max scent material is a little softer, so I did find once I got up to like 1.5 ounces or heavier, if I was really trying to punch through some thick stuff, so like some gator grass type vine stuff, I did find that the bait would push down the hook a little bit, but that kind of happens with almost anything, anytime you're fishing that really viney, woody type matted stuff. So Overall, it worked great. The thing I did like with it is that 3/4 ounce, when it punched through that matted vegetation, it would fall with enough speed to get that vibration. It got a lot of bites. You saw it in the video. I caught a ton of fish doing it. So Texas rigging worked great. Another thing, since I'm holding this one with the EWG, I had a lot of success free rigging this bait. So that's where you take like a bass casting weight and you just run the line right through it. And then when you fish it, when this bait falls to the bottom, the bait will separate from the weight. And then when you start working it, it'll pull back together. But the idea is to get a natural weightless style fall out of your bait and allow your weight to separate from it. And it allows you to fish kind of that weightless presentation at a much deeper level. Just gives the bait good natural movement. And in this case, that design, your wider profile, but that flat design just gives you really good gliding motion. And I had a lot of success on the free rig. I also fished it on a Carolina rig and caught a bunch of fish on the Carolina rig as well. Between the two, I think I preferred it on the free rig though. So that was one way of fishing it. Now, another thing that really popped out, and one of the reasons why I would like a slightly smaller one, is because I had a lot of success fishing it on a drop shot. So that's just a robo worm, a rebarb hook I've got inside of it. But I did fish it on a drop shot quite a bit. Caught a bunch of fish doing that. Had a lot of success for smallmouth specifically when I was doing it. But I would like to see even a smaller profile. I think could be deadly on a drop shot. So that was a really good way to fish it. Another way, and you guys know how much I like my wider flat profiles for hover strolling. So in this case, I've just got a core tackle. This is the 3/0 hook in it. So I've just slid it right down that chamber, slide it up and over, pull that nose up over the nose cone to lock your bait in place. And I absolutely destroyed them fishing it on a hover rig. The 5.3 inch, I actually did really well on the 5/0 hook. Just a really good natural profile. The bait just does its own thing. You know, cast it out, let it fall on slack line or semi-slack line, and the bait just glides all over the place. But the key here, and this is something that I really, really liked, when you let that bait sit on the bottom, it will settle on the bottom and sit like that. But because it's so wide, when you pick up on the rod, the bait doesn't come up with it. The bait, it looks very much like a flounder, and it just shoots left or right, and it just stays tight to the bottom because it doesn't want to pull up. It's like the energy you put in it with the rod creates a burst, but it scoots on the bottom versus coming up. To me, that's a great attribute in a bait to generate strikes, especially when you're talking about trying to create that natural movement. And the hover rig worked great with that. Along those same lines, it worked very, very well for the same reasons on the Ozark rig. So for me, I've really gone away from Texas rigging for lighter presentations. Anything from a 1/2 ounce or under, I prefer the Ozark rig. So in this case, this is the 5/0 Ozark rig that I've got rigged up here. And it's, again, the movement that I get out of the Ozark rig versus a Texas rig that is so critical. So when this bait, for the same reasons why I liked on the hover rig, when it went down to the bottom and you pulled up on it, it just stayed glued to the bottom. Really, really like that natural movement. Caught a bunch of fish doing it. You just got to try it and see it. But it's like you get that quiver motion and it just darts really quick along the bottom. Really, really good. You're going to have to try it for yourself to see it, but that was a key thing. I'll also state with the hover rig, if you're looking to fish these baits higher up in the water column or suspended in the water column, they just stay up really well too. It's like you give those little rod tips and it just kind of stays right where it needs to. It doesn't want to fall at all. You got to see it. That's all I can say. It works really well. The last way that I fished it, and I had a lot of success, was a little bit more unorthodox, but I was Neko rigging it. And what I liked about this was I could take just a Neko rig hook and go through. Now, I didn't like to do it on the top circle, but I actually like to go through like 2 holes down, if you can see that. And you almost get like a natural movement just on the hook shank. Now, I am through some of the plastic, but just one of the honeycombs. I'm not like through a big chunk of plastic. So you get good free movement. But in this case, when this bait falls, because I've got a little nail weight in it, it would basically like stand up and you could just make it look like a natural feeding fish on the bottom. Caught a lot of fish doing it that way too. I did only use the 3.5 inch. I did not try the 5.3 inch when I was doing that, but just another presentation. Like I'm excited to hear from you guys on this because I want to hear how you guys are fishing it. It's one of the things I like about newer shapes, newer profiles, because they're not like already ingrained in the angler's hands and how they like to use it. You get a lot of people that take these out and just start to experiment with it and try to use it in the applications that they think it would work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but I'll be really interested to hear from you guys how you like to fish the Flux-Gill. So put that in the comment section. Put that, or how you think it might work as well if you haven't tried it. But put it in the comment section so the rest of us can learn from you as well. Hopefully this answers some of the questions that I got regarding the video that rolled out a few days ago. I'll attach that at the end of this so you can watch that as well. But I'm really impressed with these. Like they exceeded my expectations. So let me know in the comment section what you think. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned. New video coming out tomorrow.